Welcome to Fargo Talks Fargo, a podcast on the FX television series. I'm Bill, and I'm here with my buddy Charpie, and we're originally from Fargo. I still am from Fargo. You're from somewhere else. It's a new show opening. Charpie, how are you?
I think I'm always from Fargo.
I don't know.
Does it change? Does
Yeah.
it change? I guess people change it. How long do you have to be somewhere to be from somewhere?
I don't know. I've had a conversation with my friend Brent for many years about it, and it's like, where are you from originally versus where do you live, or, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, what would your answer be?
Well, I've never gone anywhere. I mean, I lived across the river in Moorhead for like 4 years, maybe 5.
Okay.
You know, that's like,
Were you from Moorhead?
no, never. But I would never say, no college student says they're from the town they're going to college in.
That's true.
Speaking of college, do we want to just, spoilers happening right now. Turn it off if you don't know.
Yeah, hopefully this doesn't just automatically pop up in your regular rotation and you haven't seen the episode tonight, which you should have, episode 8.
Yeah. What did you think of the line at the end of the show tonight? Or at least one of the last lines, Danish Graves, and I'm just cutting right to that for right now.
Oh, just starting at the end, and then we'll work backwards.
I'm only, because I can't stop laughing about it in a way.
The old Danish gets a lead filling. They probably don't make bullets out of lead anymore, do they? I guess they do, don't they?
No.
That doesn't seem very environmentally friendly.
The line, though, thought I'd heard something similar to it before. I had to text my former roommate because, let's put it this way, there is a line, and I will put it in the end of this episode if you want. And it is from The Simpsons.
83. The newspaper was founded by Johnny Newspaper Seed, a 14-year-old boy who roamed America founding newspapers.
If he's so smart, how come he's dead?
And speaking of me living in Moorhead, this is so not good for the Hotdish, sorry. I lived with a couple guys for quite a few years where we had a VCR, because we're old, and we taped things with a VCR. We didn't tape the news. We taped 2 things usually, Jeopardy and The Simpsons. Reruns, anything. So no matter what you were doing, if you were home, somebody was watching Simpsons. It is the only years of my life that I've ever consistently watched or paid attention to The Simpsons, but the amount of crap I remember from that show, I don't dislike The Simpsons by any means. When I heard the line, I was like, that is such a weird line. And then, of course, I was like, why do I know this? And so I sent a note to my roommate, and I said, if I said this line to you, what would you say? And he's like, oh, I know that line, buddy.
What we're learning is Fargo is just a mashup of other shows' scripts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for my yippee-ki-yay. I got 2 episodes left. It's definitely happening.
Yeah. We'll keep this pretty hot dishy. Let's now
What does that even mean?
I mean, it meant like we'll try not to tangent too far, even though I opened with a giant tangent. Wait, where are you from again?
Me? I'm from Fargo.
Oh, you are. But you're currently living in Denver. For how long?
You know what it is? If I'm talking to people that aren't in Denver, if I'm not in Denver, then I'm from Denver. If I'm in Denver, then I'm from Fargo. I think it's contextual.
That's good.
Let's have the listeners weigh in, and we'll go with whatever the average is will be the official number.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know. Let us know where you say you're from, even though you're from somewhere else. We know where some of you are from because we do have analytics.
So don't you try to sneak one past us.
Shout out to Japan. Who knew we would have that many listeners in Japan? It's cool. Okay, let's talk about episode 8, Blanket. Give me your what were your big standouts? What was fun and curious? And fun was probably the wrong choice of words there. I'll just go ahead and start with that.
This one was interesting to me because it seemed so simple, yet it wasn't. Like surface level seemed simple, yet we got a ton of good little nuggets out of it, right? We've got, like you said, like you kicked it off with the end, the death of Danish Graves. So he's finally out of the picture. Not finally. Yeah. I mean, I liked him. But we're learning that, Linda, Dot is sort of starting to come through, that she was actually daydreaming or real dreaming about Linda. Linda's most likely gone. We got to see Wit. We've missed him for a while. We finally got to see Lars get caught cheating on his wife, Indira. And what I was most anticipating, up until this point, I was really, really, really hoping that we would get to see the debate for the Stark County Sheriff.
Yeah.
And we actually did. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe there would be a chance that it would just kind of like have happened and we'd come to it after or something like that, or we'd just be leading up to it the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
But we actually got to see it. And how great was it? It was so good. I was totally not expecting that move from Lorraine Lyons and Danish Graves. I knew they were going to fuck with him, but I mean, who could have predicted 4 Roy Tillmans on the stage? Amazing move.
Yeah.
You know, at first when we're at those courthouses, I had no idea what was going on. They're obviously going through their book of, debtors and, who owes them what, and maybe trying to get some slates cleaned. And they're like, hey, these guys owe us. Let's have them change their name to Roy Tillman. We didn't know, though, that was what was happening, right? Probably my all-time, or not my all-time, definitely my favorite part of the episode.
Just the goofball part. It is very, very, very like juxtaposed against just the awfulness of Roy kind of unleashing on Dot. There's just full on ridiculousness and then full on thing. But what I thought at first was like, oh my God, it's a full blown fuckery echo chamber.
Yeah. An actual echo chamber.
They just keep repeating the same bullshit the other guy says. For real, we never watch the next on Fargo. We don't watch those. I mean, maybe we should. Maybe we should have. Maybe it would maybe it would stop us from making dumber theories from time to time. But
that's what keeps it interesting. How dumb we are.
Well, here's the deal. Like when you watch the show later, you watch it like on a streaming service. You're not going to get that next time on Fargo. Right? They don't put that crud on there. They only do that on like live TV airings.
I don't know.
Like when you go back and rewatch an episode, it's not at the end that they're like next time on. It's just the end. The credits roll and it's over.
Oh yeah, that's true.
For it. So I'm watching it as intended by whatever my values that are weird.
You're not falling into big corporations' trap.
Yeah, I felt really kind of jarred up too, just a little bit by the concept of Whitfar wanting to do the right thing, but being outmassed and numbered by a bunch of other assholes. Like I couldn't help but think, God, it is so hard sometimes, even in today's world, to try and do the right thing when you just, even though you have all the right sensibilities, at what peril to yourself do you do it? To live on to fight another day or something. But it was when it was like kind of 1-to-1, he was there. But the minute he was surrounded, you've got to do your own version of fight or flight. I think I'm going to re-sing that. But I just like that he kept saying who she was, right? Like he's using her current to her proper name and just refused to call her Nadine in front of him. And so it's a giant, you know what I mean? It was like, fuck you, Roy. I see you, Nate. I see you, Dot, not Nadine.
And this is where we saw more parallels between Wit and Indira, right? Because they both, in this episode, kept their cool, like, remarkably well. I mean, Wit was they literally put a bullet through his windshield and he didn't draw his gun. He kept his cool. And in the hospital, he kept his cool. He's like Ula. And he knows that patience is going to be a strong device for him. And Indira, like, literally catches Lars, finds a woman in her closet and remains pretty chill about it. I mean, obviously she's mad, but in most scenes like that in popular culture, in shows like this, people freak out. And she was pretty level-headed. And what I was glad to see was that she was more pissed at Lars, which is how it should be. Right. And a lot of times even in real life, the people that get the brunt of it are the third wheel, right? The person that's being cheated with. When they're not great either, but the real sinner is the guy that's married, and that's who should be in trouble the most. And people always seem to go after the other person. So I was glad to see that.
Yeah. A lot of other interesting things, because I want to save a little bit, but I think I want to at least just say for the record, and I'm sure other people called it. We're not the only people with opinions and prognostications, but I feel like we called it on the Linda's dead.
Yeah.
And the windmill was just her own spun up memory. And I actually had to text somebody. I was like, they were trying to text me about the show. And I said, and it's somebody who listens to the show. I was just like, hey man, I'm going to let you listen first before I comment, because I'd already done it.
And that's kind of what, Gator could have been on her side very briefly, on Dot's side, very briefly there for a second. But when she said, I saw your mom the other day and she's doing fine, she's coming for you, Gator knew his mom was dead. He was probably there when they buried her.
I think he's highly confused, and I think there was a really nice play between them too, where she talked about she was almost old enough to be Gator's sibling, and then he marries her. And so I think when you look at the way that she's trying to protect him in a sibling/motherly way, but then as a sibling, the minute your sibling turns on you, you just go full nuclear on them, and you're just mean, because she went for it. That's when she told that story about why his name's Gator.
Right.
And that his dad's never, ever been on him. She called him a pale, puny lizard, I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Gator origin. All right.
By the way, thank you, Charpie, for last episode pointing out what you called those beastly sounds of those bowed strings.
Yeah.
Deep. The minute he was walking to his car, those strings came back, and I was like, we don't see him, but he's somewhere. Peekaboo, here I am in your backseat. So good. And I appreciate you. I love a good musical cue. It's come on, Darth Vader, everything, all of it.
Yeah, Jeff Russo is good at that, good at having little sounds for the individual characters. He's done that in all of the previous seasons, which has been great.
Really characterized by those jingle bells the first season, when shit was getting weird. I don't know, those scenes in the abattoir, though, with Dorothy are pretty... I don't know. We can talk about them next week. We don't know. It's just not next week. I'm sorry. This later, in the next recording. But I just think we don't. Just another quick nugget that I don't remember where it was, but there was a where Roy did call something a travesty, which to me is a pretty nice. I know it's a word that gets used everywhere, but he was like, Jesus fucking Christ, Walter. Why's everything got to be such a goddamn travesty with you? And what was all that shit about Vietnam? I mean, I'm sorry, dude. Not lots of things. And then the only other thing I thought was the, not that everybody doesn't hide in closets, but there is that closet scene in Burn After Reading.
Oh, yeah.
Where Brad Pitt. You know what I love about that scene from that movie? And I've only seen it once or twice. But I love it was that, man, can you imagine how sore Brad Pitt's mouth was after that? He chewed gum so hard through that film.
I like that that's one of the details you're thinking about after that movie.
I don't know.
I think his mouth has got to be sore.
Yeah. I don't know. If I chew too much gum, I end up at the chiropractor getting my jaw fixed. This is some weird stuff.
I thought you were going to say you've thrown out your back chewing gum.
Just about.
Which you probably have. I've twisted my ankle sleeping. I'm 40 now.
Okay. We've derailed. It's so different coming off an episode like 7. I know there's a lot here. There's a lot going on, and there's only 2 episodes left. So next week is the penultimate episode. And then we're going to wrap this thing up, which...
They're not doing a double header, are they?
I don't know. I just try not to look at too much stuff.
We don't like to look at stuff.
No, I mean, it gives us a sense of superiority because you can't be wrong. This is talking to each other is our own reality. We don't accept whatever else happens out there on the interwebs and the Reddite.
We're each other's tiny little Tamagotchis.
Yeah, well, I was going to say echo chamber. Just another duo of doofus dudes who agree with each other from time to time.
Do you need some little digital food pellets, Bill?
I just gave myself some Redbreast PX cask. It's just enough for me. Just a little Irish whiskey for right now. All I thought was we're still back to the early episode where the tiger and the lady is what's behind the door. And so here she is in a place. Is she a tiger? Is she a lady? Is she both?
She's an albatross.
She is. They did call her an albatross. So, oh, gosh. Danish Graves. R.I.P., bud.
Did you ever have ice cream cake for your birthday?
God, you always somehow manage to bring this back to food, and then I don't.
That's because it's the hot dish.
Did I ever have it for my birthday? No.
Yeah.
I have had it at birthdays, but I am not an ice cream cake person.
Oh, you're not?
Meaning it's not my thing. I have, for the most part, for my birthday, I am 47 years old. I have had the same birthday cake for my birthday. If I had to guess, it would probably be like 45 of the 47 years.
Wow.
Yep, same thing. Spice, cream cheese frosting.
Mm.
There was one year where I thought my friends wouldn't like it, and I made my mom go to Hornbacher's and buy me a marble cake, and then she had it decorated with a boy skateboarding on it because that's what I was into. That was third grade.
Spice cake is the best cake, or carrot cake. I don't really know the difference. They taste the same to me.
No, they're okay. So, okay, if you can suck it, bud. Okay, that's our next podcast. Bill and Charpie fight about food. What about you? Are you an ice cream cake person since you've got us on this thing?
No, not at all.
I enjoy it.
I don't like ice cream.
Okay, now
sometimes to keep from hurting someone's feelings, we have to say things that aren't exactly
lies made baby Jesus cry.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for listening to this episode of the Hot Dish. We'll be back in another day or so. We hope you enjoyed the last one. Sharpie's a monster.
Chicken piccata. Bye now.